So I got to join these three together. This is going to be a little bit fun. And that was relative. So those three had to get joined together. How am I going to do that? Well, first thing I'm going to do is strip these back a little bit. Perhaps a little bit more than I would normally for going into a connector, because I'm going to try to get them to solder to each other. So let's try about 2 millimeters or so. And I'm going to strip those back. I'm using my conventional strippers here. And there we go. You can see what I've done. Stripped about that. Or you can use my cool fancy Paladin strippers. These are really nice for tiny wires like this. And those two are going to get joined together. And I also need to join them with, where is it? The shield here. And we will put those three together. Now, how do you do that? Well, you can try to thread these bare wires together. You can try twisting. It's never easy. This is not. It's kind of small, hard to do. I've just attempted to twist those two together into one. It may not, and I gotta be honest, this usually takes a few attempts to get this right. I've got the solder. Let me get the solder onto the camera here. And I'll get this thing out of the way here. I'm going to add some solder to my iron and bring it up to temp here, and join those two together. Hopefully, fill the cracks with the solder. It's made one little merged black wire there, and then I'm going to do my best. So I'm going to put the cable coming from the mini plug. And I'm going to attempt to solder these together in such a way that they are solid. Good luck to me. And here we go, adding some fresh solder to the tip. And, oh, I should tin this as well. Can you see that? It's a little off camera. There we go. Wants to sag off camera slightly. But let's I'm not painting the solder on. I am trying to get it to melt within it. Okay, here we go. So now let's get solder on the mini plug cable and solder on the cables from the XLR. Let's move these reds out of the way. Let's try to join these together. Never a fun thing to do, but kind of satisfying when you get it done. Hopefully you don't have a wiggle issue, wiggling with your hands, shaky hands. But they're pretty rock solid right now. So the next thing I'm going to do is I've got to make red go to red and black go to black. Now, you need some tiny shrink to do this. So here, open up my tiny shrink box here and find something small that's a little bit larger than the two connectors. See, the shield here, it's easy to short to. So when we join the red to the red and the black to the black on this, we're going to want to cover them up, cover up the bare areas so they don't short to each other and they don't short to the shield behind it. So what I'm doing here, I'm going to get some scissors or some cutters or something. I'm going to cut a little, pretty small here, 1/4 inch piece of shrink, and I'm actually going to do it, we'll do 2 different colors just to make a point here. Actually, the red I'm doing here is pretty darn small. Let's see if this works. So we'll do 2 pieces of red. You know what? Change my mind. I'll cut it a little bit bigger. And so you can see what I've stripped. I'm going to put that down on the red and the black. And I have to be really careful because if I get these too hot, they will melt. So, and then I need to strip all 4 of these things. And I want the joint to be pretty small. I've got my sweet little Paladin strip here. I can cut off about a millimeter there. If you've got to do it with traditional strippers, it's a little bit harder to do, but get some practice, you'll get it right. See, you can see I actually stripped that one quite a bit more. My accuracy is not as good with the traditional strippers, but I've done all 4 here now. Now I am going to pre-tin them with some solder. So let's put a little solder on all 4 of these guys so they're all ready to go. And 4 leads that need a little bit of tinning. Clean my tip, was getting kind of nasty there. Okay, and it really doesn't matter which goes to which. We can define left and right a little bit later. Keep those shrink tubing out of the way. And now, this is the point where you go, oh, Eric, you messed up. Because look what I did here. I've ended up making them too... The shield in the background is shorter. There's an overlap there. I've shortened the cable, and these 2 leads are too long, and they won't come together. And so what I'm going to have to restrip these 2 leads here coming from the mini plug and shorten them. I'm actually going to grab a Sharpie here, and I'm going to measure where they need to be. They need to meet these 2 guys from the 2 XLRs. So I'm marking that I need to actually strip back about there, and I need to cut it where the silver is. So it was an oversight on my part, but a pretty common mistake. So I'm going to cut the ends off and start over there. It's not a big deal. Again, I'm going to use my strippers here, and I'm going to strip about 1 millimeter off of each one. And this is the left and the right from the mini plug. And again, I am going to tin them. So sorry if that's not quite on camera, but I think you understand what I'm doing. And I'm going to attempt to tin both these guys so they've got fresh solder on them. And now, do what I was trying to do a moment ago. Remember, I still got the shrink on them. And one red is going to have to join a black, and the other red is going to have to... I still got it too short. Eric. So I'm going to do that one more time. Boy, I am losing here. I'm going to do it one more time. Oh, didn't get that quite right. Sorry, I'm off camera. Got to remember to stay on camera here. And I think those will work. Pretty sure those will work. I just stripped the black one here from the mini plug one more time, slide it back, so it does need a little bit of fresh solder. And now we're going to try joining. We'll try joining the black to the red. So this is the black from the mini plug. Sorry, I'll bend it so it's on camera. It's the black from the mini plug. Is not this one. It's going to join the red from one of the XLR. So technically, I'm actually connecting the right from the mini plug to the right hot from XLR. And they're connected. And now I'm going to do the opposite. Hard to do this on camera, but it is the left, the red from the mini plug. I'll try to get these other guys out of the way. This is hard to do. It's not a bad idea sometimes to put some sort of insulator in between here in case if you shake with the soldering iron so you don't accidentally melt something below it. And I'm going to try to connect these 2 together. And this is hard to do while also monitoring the camera. Good luck to me, but here we go. And there you go. I think I've achieved my goal here. I want to pull on it, but you can see get the poker out here. The left from the mini plug is going to the left pin 2 of the XLR. The right from the mini plug is going to pin 2 of the right XLR, and then the sleeve from the mini plug is going to both colds. Now, here's the moment of truth. Can my heat shrink squeeze over and cover the two solder joints for the hots? I'm sorry, can't see that. Apologize. This is not really working out here. I should have used a larger gauge of heat shrink. So you now have to correct this problem. A couple ways I could do it is I could disconnect it, put a slightly larger piece of shrink on it. I could try to, I knew that was going to happen, maybe slightly less solder here between these two. Cleaner joint perhaps. And this is always a problem. What I'm going to do is pull off while I've got this detached, and I'm going to go for a slightly larger piece of shrink. It looks like my yellow is a little bit bigger, so I'm going to slip that on and attempt one more time to make the connection. Now if I made a bunch of these, I'd probably get pretty good at it, but this is the first one I made in a few years here, and I'm going to make some mistakes. And they looks connected, and then over the heat shrink. So now the heat gun comes into play. If I don't knock my lamp over. And you can't see this, sorry, but I'm melting the heat shrink. So now we've got, it's totally insulated.